You ever feel that gnawing urge to do something spontaneous, something grand and romantic, thinking it'll change everything? I did. And it cost me more than just a plane ticket. It cost me my peace. I flew 4,300 miles just to surprise my wife at her best friend's wedding. No heads up, no clues, just me, my suitcase, and a plan I thought was heartwarming. I imagined the look on her face, eyes lighting up, running into my arms, grateful I came. I thought it would be one of those moments you tell your kids about someday. Turns out, it became the story I'll be telling my lawyer. Let me back up. My name's Ethan, 34, tech consultant. I've always played it safe. Straight A's, early career promotions. Married the girl I fell in love with in college, Amber. She was the wild one. Artistic, impulsive, full of surprises. I guess that's what drew me in. I was the structure, she was the chaos. And somehow, we made it work for nearly 7 years. Lately, though, something had shifted. She'd been distant more than usual. Always had a reason to fly out alone, spend weekends with the girls, visit her friend Tasha on the West Coast. I tried not to overthink it. Marriage needs trust, right? That's what I told myself. Even when her texts grew shorter, even when her phone was always face down, even when she didn't say I miss you anymore. Last week, she left for Tasha's wedding. I couldn't go because of a project deadline. Or at least that's what I told her. In reality, I needed time to plan the surprise. I pushed the project up, worked 16-hour days, and bought a last-minute international ticket. I even arranged with Tasha to sneak into the reception. Just before Amber gave her toast, Tasha thought it was adorable, said Amber would cry. Yeah, she did cry, but not for the reason we imagined. I landed early, rented a car, drove straight to the venue, a beautiful cliffside estate overlooking the ocean. Everyone was dressed in pastel linen and floral prints. I wore a dark suit. Tasha's husband slipped me in through the side garden entrance while the guests were mingling near the cocktail bar. I scanned the crowd. My heart pounded, and then I saw her. Amber, in a pale blue dress, hair curled the way I used to love it, laughing. But she wasn't alone. There was a man with her. Tall, confident. His hand was on her waist. Too comfortable, too familiar. Then she leaned in and kissed him. I stood there, frozen, not because I was shocked, though I was, but because I needed a second to stop myself from marching over and tearing the whole damn party apart. She didn't just kiss him. She kissed him the way she used to kiss me, when we were young and stupid and believed the world owed us happiness. Her hand rested lightly on his chest. She smiled like she was in a rom-com, and he acted like he'd won. Maybe he had. I clenched my fists so tight my nails dug into my palms, but I didn't move. Not yet. I was raised to never make a scene. That's what my father taught me. Control buys you power. Reaction gives it away. So I controlled it. Barely. I turned, walked back through the side entrance, and made my way to the car. I needed time to think, to process, to decide how to burn it all down without setting myself on fire. I parked a few blocks away and just sat there. Air off. Windows cracked. Mind racing. That man, I knew him. I'd seen his face before in a picture Amber tried to delete off her phone. A little blurry. Taken during one of her girls' trips. She swore it was nothing. Said he was an old classmate she ran into. Now, he had his hands on my wife like she belonged to him. Maybe she always did, and I was just the fool holding the ring. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. That version of me died standing in that garden. Instead, I pulled out my phone, opened our joint bank account, and smiled. I wasn't going to get even. I was going to get ahead. We'd been saving for a down payment on a second property, a little cabin in Colorado we always dreamed about. My name was on that account, so was hers. But she didn't know I'd already moved the money into a different, high-yield account I controlled. $500,000. Clean, legal, and touchable. She thought I was just a working husband tucked away in another country, buried under deadlines. What she didn't know was that I had access to everything: our investments, her travel itineraries, even her phone's backup location history. She had lied so many times, she forgot I built the very tech she relied on. You want to cheat? Fine. But cheat smart. I drafted a text. Cold, clean, surgical. Saw you at the wedding. Good to know where we stand. Check the joint account when you have a moment. And I hit send. No emotion, no drama. Just facts. 2 minutes later, the phone started buzzing. Amber? Ignored. Then her mother. Ignored. Then her best friend. Decline. I wasn't going to be the man who begged for answers. I was going to be the man who left her with nothing but silence and regret. The morning after I sent that message was like stepping into a void. No calls, no texts, Just an oppressive silence that echoed louder than any words she could have thrown at me. Amber knew. She knew exactly what I had done, and she hadn't tried to stop it or reach out. Instead, she chose quiet. Maybe she thought ignoring me would erase the truth. But silence is a scream when it comes to betrayal. Hours later, my phone buzzed with a call. It was Amber's lawyer. The voice on the other end was strained, laced with that fake calm that lawyers practice like a shield. "Ethan, Amber wants to talk." "This isn't how she imagined things ending," he said. I let the call go to voicemail. I wasn't interested in talks or apologies. Not anymore. The image of her laughing and kissing that man was seared into my mind. No amount of regret or excuses could erase that. Instead, I sat down and mapped out my next moves. Like I was planning a project, because that's what this was now. The dismantling of what once was. The cabin in Colorado, the dream house we talked about when we were still us, was mine. Legally and financially. That $500,000 wasn't touched. Tucked away safely in an account only I controlled. Amber could have her memories. I wanted a future. Later that day, I called my closest friends and told them I was coming home early. I wasn't just leaving a wedding venue, I was leaving a marriage. It was the kind of decision that feels like jumping from a cliff. But sometimes the fall is what sets you free. At the airport, waiting for my flight, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through old photos. There we were, smiling, hopeful, full of promises we didn't know we'd break. The pain hit hard, but underneath it was a strange, calmer realization that I wasn't the broken one. I was the one who'd woken up. On the plane, I watched the world shrink beneath me. And I made a vow. No more lies. No more compromises on my dignity. Whatever Amber had wanted from that wedding, it wasn't me. And whatever she thought she was reclaiming by kissing him, it wasn't worth the life we'd built. When I landed, my phone exploded. Amber, her friends, her family, all demanding answers, pleading for a conversation. I stayed silent. Actions speak louder, and my actions had already said everything. That night, alone in my apartment, I poured a glass of whiskey and stared out at the city lights. I thought about the years we spent trying to make something work. That was already broken. I thought about the future I still had, even if it looked different now. Sometimes, the hardest part of betrayal isn't the pain, it's the acceptance. The acceptance that the person you loved has changed, or maybe was never who you thought they were. But me, I was still here. Stronger, smarter, and ready to build a life where trust and truth mattered. Because in the end, you don't just walk away from a betrayal, you rise from it. Amber didn't see it coming. 48 hours after that kiss, after the silence, after the shock, she got the divorce papers delivered straight to her door. No fanfare, no begging, just cold, calculated finality. I wasn't interested in drama. I was interested in closure. And I made sure the closure was irreversible. She reached out once through a text, this time, "Ethan, please, can we talk?" I didn't reply, because talking was what had gotten me into this mess. Lying, hoping, forgiving, no more. I contacted my lawyer and signed off on the papers. Every asset divided, every tie severed. That $500,000. Untouchable. The cabin? Mine. The life I planned. And tainted by her betrayal. But here's the real kicker: she thought I'd be broken, desperate, lost without her. Instead, I was rebuilding. Stronger, wiser, free. Amber's world collapsed while mine was just beginning to rise. She lost more than a husband that week. She lost the future she took for granted. I hope that thought haunts her. Because in betrayal, the worst pain isn't just in being cheated on. It's in realizing the person you destroyed was the one who loved you the most. So now I'm here, telling you this story not for pity or revenge, but as a warning. If you're thinking about cheating, think about what you're willing to lose. Because the price is brutal, and the fallout, it doesn't just break marriages, it shatters lives. Now, I want to hear from you. If this were your story, what would you have done differently? Would you have walked away, fought harder, or stayed silent? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about betrayal, heartbreak, and the strength it takes to walk away. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't in getting even, it's in not looking back.